everyone. It is a new day and it is an exciting day. So I told you in the last video that we had the spot in the garden all covered up for an upcoming project that was going to be coming up very soon, and it came a little bit sooner than we had expected. So I want to show you what we're going to do in today's video. Can you tell what this is? It's a lot of parts and boxes and metal pipes. So we got us a hoop house. I want to tell you guys about a program. We went through the NRCS, and they have a hoop house program for beginning farmers. And basically what they do is you put in an application. Now, we put our application in 3 years ago, and every year we would get the call that we didn't get approved for that year, but we could roll over our application. So we put our application in 3 years ago. We finally got the call this year that we got approved. And so what they do is you decide what size hoop house you want to build. Now, it's not a greenhouse. There's no heating and cooling and all that. It's just a hoop house. But you decide what size hoop house you want to build on your property for whatever you're going to grow, and they will reimburse you so much per square foot, but you have to go through them, and you can't purchase it until you get approved, and there's a whole thing there. But basically, we got this hoop house. It is a 26 by 48, free of charge. Now, we have paid for it up front, but they will reimburse us once it's all built. Then they come and inspect it, make sure we did it correctly and all that, and then they will reimburse us. They don't always reimburse 100%. It all depends on what you get, the size, the style, all of that. There's a whole thing. But if you guys are interested in growing in a hoop house, whether it be for adding shade over your garden, or like my main thing is I want to keep the rain off of my tomatoes, because the rain is just killing my tomatoes every year. So I'm really looking forward to getting this up and putting tomatoes in it this year. But for whatever reason, if you want a hoop house, it is a good program to look into. All you have to do is call your local NRCS office and talk to them about their hoop house initiative. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong, right? So this is going to take some doing, and we're going to do some time lapses on this. We're going to skip over some parts. Like right now, we're going to unload this trailer. We're not actually building this today, but it'll be today in the video. So today, we're just going to get this trailer unloaded, because one of the other things is you have to call the NRCS office and let them know 3 days in advance before you start construction. So we called them today and told them that we received it, and we're going to start construction in 3 days. Hopefully it's not raining in 3 days. But so we can't do anything. We can't start putting it up for 3 days. So today we're just going to get it all unloaded, make sure we have all the parts. We're going to try to line up the parts on different pallets so we know where everything is for when we do start construction. But the next part of this video for you guys will be us starting construction, because you don't want to see us unload this trailer. So I'm super excited about this. I hope it goes up super easy. I kind of doubt it. It's 14 feet at the peak, so we're going to have to get our neighbor over here with his tractor in order to pick up the centers for us, but it's going to work out. Okay. So these are the ground posts, and we have to drive them in all the way so that there's just a foot sticking out. So about here we need to drive in, I bet they're 3 feet long. Yep, so we gotta drive these into the ground by 2 feet. Now the mower, to get the mower comfortably through there, I should leave 6 feet from the fence. Oh, but they give you this really cool thing right here. Check this out. It's super heavy, and this is so you can drive your post in the ground. So that just goes in the post, and then you hammer that down into the ground. So I guess I need to figure out where the 48-foot mark is from the other end coming this way. Right here somewhere should be my 48 feet. 46, 47, okay, so 48's right here. So now if I come out from the fence by 6 feet, that leaves enough room for the mower. And then that's 48. So now I know that's not square or anything, but it doesn't really matter for the one post. I just want to make sure I'm keeping this post 6 feet out from the fence. So that's going to go right there. And I'm not going to hammer it all the way in, but I wanted to put it in a little bit so it'll stay. Let's see if I can do this without a hammer. Probably not. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna hammer that with my hand. That's real smart, huh? All right, so that's one corner post. Now I need to see where 26 feet and the 26 by 48, that's center to center of these posts. So now I need to see where the 26 foot ends up on the other corner. Hey, you guys want to hold that end of the tape for me? Now that may not be where that goes. It might have to come this way or that way. We have to square it up to the fence. But that gives me a starting point to figure out where everything's gonna go. Okay, we're back at it. It's another day. I kind of messed up and I went fishing this morning and I brought my camera with me. Came home, got to work on the hoop house. Totally forgot I was supposed to turn the camera on and it was dead. So I have it plugged into a backup battery right now. Hopefully it's recording and everything's gonna work out okay. So let me show you what we've got done this morning. We've been kind of messing with this for a while. So we did get up the very first rafter. I don't even know if you can see it, but we have this first rafter up. This is the end rafter. And what we've been trying to do is to plumb it up so that the building, you know, will be standing straight up and down. So we tied this knife of oceans to a string, and we've got this string going from the center of that post to the center of this post over here. And then we've got the knife coming as a plumb bob off the center of that post. So we're trying to use it as a plumb bob, but it's kind of blowing in the breeze a bit. I don't think it has to be exactly perfect. It's pretty close. So I think Ocean went to see if he had a heavier knife that we could tie under the string, because we don't actually have a plumb bob. But so once we get that plumbed up and it's all staked down so it can't go anywhere, then we'll move on to the first interior rafter and we'll show you how that goes. These posts here, so this post is inside of the ground posts. Here's the ground post. We drove those all in yesterday. Don't know why I didn't show you that either. But we drove all of these ground posts into 2 feet into the ground. And then we put this post on this morning. These are supposed to be connected to the rafters, which they will get a screw once the rafter is set on there. But it also has a bolt through it. And this is where things get a little bit complicated. We've been sitting here this morning trying to figure out the order that we should do things, because there's 2 holes here and we have to run 2x6s down the whole length of this, and those are called the baseboards. Now that means if these bolt holes aren't straight out, you're gonna have a hard time bolting that 2x6 on. So with this rafter on here, you're supposed to have a screw right here to hold the rafter to this part of the rafter. And I don't want to put that screw in yet because I may have to turn the ground post. And those are super easy to turn, so it's no big deal having to turn them. But I think I want to get all the baseboards up, all the way down, so that I know that my ground posts, my holes are straight before I put this screw in right here. So it gets a little complicated trying to read through the instructions and figure out in what order we should do things compared to what they say to do, because they're like, just build a rafter on the ground, on a level ground. Well, first off, who has a level ground in their garden? But you're supposed to build the rafter on a level ground and then stand it up, put it on there, and you're good to go. But it also said to, when you drive your ground posts in, make sure those holes are facing to the inside, you know, so that you can attach your baseboards. But how are you going to know if those holes are aiming straight across to the other side, so that when you put your 2x6s up there, you can drill a straight hole through it? I mean, maybe it doesn't matter, because obviously you could drill through a 2x6 at an angle. So maybe I'm overthinking it, I don't know, but that's the way we're going to do it anyways. We have a big storm coming in tomorrow. It's going to start tonight. So we're going to see if we can get a few of these rafters up today, and then we're going to have to put it on hold until Monday. So where did we set this center? Was it on here, Rose? Where did we set the center? Right there? Yeah. All right. And then we need 2 straight ones. Do we have straight? Oh, we don't have short ones because we already put the short ones in the ground post, right? So it's just
curve, straight, center.
Oh, the straight one goes there. That goes backwards. Turn those around. That one. Whoops.
Gotta put your clamps up there.
That one has to go. No, this doesn't get a.
Oh, don't get them clamp deals?
No, move that down. That has to go to the end of this one. The straight one goes, and then the curved one. And then we do need the clamps on the sides, but those can go after, because we're only using the end clamps on the 2 ends, and the end clamps are the ones that have to go on before you screw it all together. So these are the clamps that go at the peak and on this section right here, but these will go onto the pipe after it's up. It just goes on like that, so we don't have to put these on first.
I don't understand those.
Well, because see, on the end rafter we had to put the clamps on first. Because
I don't understand those.
Oh, so this goes on the pipe like this, and then your side purlin is going to go in here. But you can go ahead and screw all that together. Now, after we get this second one up, we got to put the plain end of that into that end clamp, and then the other end of it will go into one of those other clamps at the peak of this one, and that's what's going to hold the 2 together. But we have to.
Each peak get one of those clamps?
Not one of those. One of the one I just showed you. But so after we stand it up, that's going to be how are we going to put one end of that in that end clamp and then put the other end of it into the next one? Like, you can't reach between the 2 rafters.
It's gonna have
Well,
to,
I mean, they're only 4 feet apart. I guess you
have
could.
to slide.
What do you mean?
Slide in.
Yeah, but see, when you put it in, you have to make sure it only goes, what?
Can I screw this?
Yeah, screw it. When you put it in, you have to make sure that it only goes to the center of this rafter, so it's not sticking out the front and it'll tear the plastic. So it has to go to the center of this one. Then you have to be able to reach back here to this one somehow, and you have to make sure the rafters are 4 feet apart so that you clamp it together. Those ropes are still going to be in the way now. I know why they're going to the outside of the building. And put it on your post. Might not even need him up there. Whoa! I'm on. Okay. Now you need to tighten those bottom bolts. Shouldn't go anywhere.
Hand me that piece, man.
It's not going to fall off. What piece?
How far out did we knock the plumb when we hit the ropes?
Still plumb. That clamp has to go around to the bottom, Osh.
Bottom?
Yeah.
Well, that's how it was.
Like that. Now put your straight end in there. And I'll get you one of those other clamps. Tossing the tape in, you can measure from that joint up and then from this joint up and get center. So there's more steps that you don't think about. So we should have marked center on the center pipe of the rafter on the ground. So when we get up there, then Ocean would know where to put the purlin because it's supposed to be centered. So now we know. That's why we do one at a time. So we can figure out where we're missing stuff, what we need to do before we put it up, all that stuff. So from now on, as we build the rafters, we'll make a center mark on it. And that way we'll know where the purlin goes on there. I know it's really hard to see anything. I can't get the camera closer. The peak of this greenhouse is 14 feet. So we had to borrow that ladder. It's like a 20-foot ladder or something. I don't know. It's a really tall ladder. But we had to borrow that so that we could get up to the peak to do this stuff. So once we get going on this, I'll put you on a time lapse and you can see the rafters going up. But right now it's really just a lot of figuring things out, figuring out what we need to do, what we should do this way or that way. You know how it goes when you're building things. Okay, so a lot of this building is screwing stuff down. They give you these self-tapping screws, and every clamp that we put on will be screwed to the rafter and screwed to the purlin. So you're not just clamping it, you have to actually screw the clamp to each piece so that it can't move. So you saw he put the screw up here, that's into the rafter. And now he's going to put a screw in the side that goes into this purlin right here. And then when he gets back here to the next rafter, it's the same thing. Stop for just a second. It'll be the same thing. There'll be a screw into the rafter and then there'll be a screw into the purlin. So every connection will have 2 screws on it.
This one will be easy. That's aluminum. That's not.
But these screws don't go in super easy. So yeah, it's going to take some time. That's why I can't really show you guys all of this. Plus, like I said, it's way up there. It's 14 foot in the air. And I can't keep climbing up the ladder with him while he's doing it. So it gets a little scary when you're setting it up. We took a long time yesterday getting this building square, just trying to square it up. That is so hard to do because one, you pull your diagonals, and one diagonal was always an inch different from the other diagonal. And no matter which way we would move our corner posts, we were always an inch off. So we got it close. I think we were still off about a half an inch. Half an inch isn't going to bother my plants any. So I'm not going to worry too much about it because it's not a house. It's just a hoop house. It's going to be covered in plastic. You know, I'm sure everything's going to be totally fine. People put these up that don't have any building experience at all. So, I mean, you might as well say I don't have any building experience because I can't get a building square to save my life. But yeah, so it took us a long time to square it up, and then driving all the posts in. The posts actually went in pretty easy. They give you the cap. I think I showed you guys the cap. So you just stick that cap in the end of the post and then you hammer on it. And they go in pretty easy. So I think, you know, you look at the rafters and you're like, okay, cool, we just down up the rafters and we're good. But for each rafter that you put up, you've got to put on the clamps. You've got to screw the clamps to the pipes, and you got to make sure your rafters are 4 foot on center. So it's a lot of work for each rafter. It's definitely not going to be a fast process of just stand them all up and then you're done. So.